changed. Something just changed. Sorry about that. I don't know. Maybe not. This study today is very hard to understand until you see it done correctly. And this is on why male leadership. And this can be interpreted very, very poorly and filtered poorly because of bad male leadership, because of bad leadership, period. And so whenever this subject is spoken about, it is immediately met with resistance and walls. Okay? So I have to preface what I'm saying, and it kind of stinks because there's not a lot of people in here to hear what I'm prefacing. But what's happening is, because of bad leadership, this is getting a bad reputation. Okay. Good. I'm going to make a statement, and this statement is going to preface everything that I want to say today. Okay? Good male leadership produces content women. Okay? And his job is to cover her and to protect her. When she feels covered, when she feels protected, she is content. When she is not covered, not protected, and not provided for, that creates insecurity and the resistance towards male leadership. Okay? So basically, we're gonna break this down and talk about some. We're gonna break that down. We're gonna unpack that. Okay? But listen to what I'm saying. Good male leadership produces content, happy women. Okay? Men respond positively to male leadership and negatively to female authority and leadership. Now, I know what generation we live in. I'm not dumb. I understand current times, but it doesn't change this principle at all. It doesn't change it. Okay, so let me give you an example so that you can understand my background and my way of filtering this. Because think about this. I am a man teaching on male leadership. There could be a woman that says, well, you don't understand what it's like to be a woman. You don't understand what to be perhaps abused by male authority. I get it. There are men here that have had very good, positive male role models in your life. And it could almost be like, well, of course, this would be common sense. There could be men like me that didn't have it at all. So I want to explain something from my perspective, okay? My mom raised me, single mom, from probably the year 2 years old. She didn't get remarried to my stepfather, who got saved. They're in the church now, until I was about in junior high. So I was raised by a single mom who did her best, worked a lot. I was, came home from school alone, went to school alone in the morning. Just didn't have a male father figure in my life. I remember one time, it's a long story, all I wanted to be was a cop my whole life. That's all I wanted to be. I had a friend when I was visiting my dad, when I saw my dad very rarely. His dad was a cop. He gave me a pair of real handcuffs. And these were the real deal. And I seriously, I thought I had arrived at the pinnacle of life. I had real handcuffs. And so I would play with them all the time. And this is a story that I just remember me not having a male influence in my life, right? And I would play with these handcuffs with the kids out in the neighborhood back when kids played outside. Do you remember those days when kids played outside without too much threat? And somebody took my handcuffs and put them on a tree or something. Now, this is all very vague memory. This is 50 million years ago. And I threw a little hissy fit. And I was like, give this back to me. Like just a little girl, just a little sissy girl. And I'm screaming, give him back to me. And you know, when you bully somebody, that you want to get the rise out of it. And they had me where they wanted me. Unbelievable. They're just laughing at me, throwing a little sissy fit, emotional sissy fit. And at that time, I remember that my mom was dating my stepfather. And for some reason, he was at the house or at the apartment, whatever. And I went in and I said, Mom, they took my handcuffs and they're going to give them back. Like if I saw that today, right? Okay, anyway. My stepfather he said, boy. He says, I don't remember the exact words, but he says something like this. Man up, get out there, and quit being a sissy. Okay, now think. I've been raised by a mom. Mothers are awesome, right? They're sensitive. They care about the feelings. Men tend not to, so it brings a good balance in a life. But I remember distinctly at a very, very young age, I've never had a man correct me and teach me how to be a man and control my emotions. I never did. Ever. Okay, so stepfather wasn't saved at that time. They get married. He started to teach me how to shoot guns, work on cars a little bit. I just avoided it. But I just never had it. I joined the Marine Corps because I just needed change in my life, structure, discipline, and you know what I was craving? Just male authority, male role model. Somebody just to help me and teach me how to be a man. So obviously there was no other place to go than that. Then I went to the Marine Corps. And they got the sissy out of me very, very quickly. Controlling emotions. There's no time for that. In boot camp, we know that. Many of us here know that. That helped me. Then I got saved. Okay, so I never saw a female Marine. I never saw a female Marine in my entire time of being in the Marine Corps. Okay? Saw a female Marine, meaning in my command or working with, nothing like that. One time I had to go to battalion administration, and there was a woman in there. And I went, oh, this is so weird. There's a woman in a uniform there, so I just wasn't used to it, right? This is just my experience. 4 years, no woman authority, things like that. I get to our church, our fellowship, and male pastor, male-run church. It fit very well for what I was looking for in my life. Y'all need some NyQuil or something. I don't know. You need something. I'm sorry. So my pastor is a man's man. He's a hunter. He's just a man, right? And I still had a little, I still was working all that out. I got out of the Marine Corps. I started working at Coca-Cola. And I had they were all male supervisors. The plant manager was a man. The assistant plant manager was a man. It was all male run. Okay? And I was still working on my character about being a man. I get sent out and I transfer Coke companies. They're owned by different bottling companies. I go to the new place and guess who my supervisor is? A woman. For the first time in all of my life, okay, other than my mom's authority when I was a kid, had a female boss, okay? So I thought, well, how bad can this be? This is a corporation, there's rules or whatever. And I remember, okay, being in a meeting and in the meeting, she was getting emotional. She was getting emotional. She said, I just don't, our sales. And she just started getting emotional. And I was just so taken aback. And obviously, I'm a pastor now. I know about it, but about women and the differences, obviously. But it just didn't settle well with me. Okay? Maybe for other people, that's fine, no problem. I'm just telling you about my perspective. And I had a hard time with it at the beginning. And I realized that men respond better when they're confronted or challenged by another man. They respond better. Not necessarily always good, because we all have egos and we all have pride, right? And there's a reason why. And I'm going to keep trying to dig myself out of this hole, because it's weird. It's like there's just so much fear to talk about this subject in our generation. Okay? I'm just telling you my experience. It didn't settle right and well. Now it is every time I hear Zach's story about the military. We were at camping and he was talking about the military, and he was on fire watch in the middle of the night, and the supervisor came up right in his face, and he said, "She rebuked me," and I'm like, man, my brain was men working with men, and then he says, "There's another female supervisor, and another female supervisor, and another female supervisor," and it's just different, right? Okay, so. God's design, okay, keyword God. God's design is male authority, okay, and it was his idea for hierarchy. So let me give you a scripture here, 1 Corinthians 11:3, and we're going to use the Bible, okay, and then we're going to talk. I want you to know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of woman is man, and the head of Christ is God. Okay, so this is Bible. This isn't Potter's house. This isn't my invention. This isn't something that I came up with. I don't have an agenda. I'm not bigoted. I'm just telling you from my experience, I craved male leadership. That was me. And I responded well to male leadership. And the Bible says this. So what happens is, in our life, through experience, things they just make sense. They just fall into place. They just fall into, okay, yeah, this feels natural. This feels right. This is, even though we don't like to be corrected. But this is the hierarchy that God has created for order. When this gets out of order, when the man is over Christ, chaos. Right? When the woman has to lead because the man isn't, chaos. Right? This is the way God has designed leadership to be male. Okay, for all you that are very upset at me right now, whether it's online or watching, all 12 people that watch, we're going to explain why that is such a resistance. But we have to understand, and we have to dig the well and understand that the leadership is male. Okay? What you find a lot of times in a lot of churches is that they're female-run churches. They're female-run churches. And men will take a back seat to female-run churches. And I think even Connie mentioned last week, okay, hey, you know what? I can do anything a man can do and better. Those are her own words, okay? But that's not what she wants. That's what she said last week. I'm just repeating what she said. One time, my wife and I, we were talking about this subject, and we were talking about preaching, and and leading and in the confronting part of being a leader and a pastor and everything. And she says, I would never want to stand up and preach and lead men. Could you imagine? My wife's at the doorway. Come here, Zach. Come here. You're late again. Okay, number one, that's so comical for us because of our culture, the well that we've dug of male leadership, right? But also we would lose Zach. He would shut down. He'd be done. Just like a woman at home that always challenges the authority of a man. He shuts down. He shuts down. He pulls back. So a female-run church produces passive men. Okay? Female-run church, passive men. The tendency can be, well, women are more mature, spiritually faster growing. The tendency would be, give them that responsibility because we need to get the job done. Or we go slower and we use slower men. And the women are like, why won't he lead? Why won't he pay the bills on time? Why won't he take out the garbage? Why won't he? Why won't he? See the vicious cycle? Okay, so redigging wells. We have to maintain the well of male leadership flowing properly, correctly, and maintain it, and hold men accountable to their poor leadership at the same time, right? We have to always maintain that. Okay, we have to always maintain that. In general, here's another reason why. In general, okay, overall, okay, I do not go and disciple and rebuke women. I just don't do it. I don't yell at women. I don't say, come here, you're late. Basically, women, you can do whatever you want. Just do whatever you want. Okay? I leave it to you and your husband. Your husband's got to take care of you. That's the hierarchy, right? Christ, pastor. And if you're a woman, your covering is your husband. And if you're a single woman, it's your dad. Right? So I don't do that. So if I were to put a woman in a mission-critical position where it would require rebuking, or require teaching, or, I don't really have time for sensitive men that I have to coddle and, right? We get this done. We need this done. You're late. Berto was late this morning, right? I got him. Right? He's going to take it. He's a man, right? He's going to, right? I'm late. I'm responsible. I didn't get, that's what I need. So a male-run church gives the pastor access to develop men, because I'm not developing women. I'm not making discípulas. Okay? I'm making disciples, male disciples that will in return cover their wife and make the wife content. See how it all works together? It all flows together. It all flows together. Let me give you, let's talk about, I want to open up to you, maybe women, men, whatever, because I wrote here and there, I don't blame women for wanting to lead and protect herself. Like, I don't blame you. I'm not saying, oh, you have the Jezebel spirit and you just want to dominate and just for the sake of dominating. I don't think that. I really, really don't. And I hope I make that very, very clear. Why would a woman want to lead and protect herself? There's a bunch of reasons. I want to hear from you. I just talked about competency. Maybe a woman is more competent than the male that's supposed to be the authority over her. What else? Yes?
Responsibility. I think women, we see things and then, I can speak for myself.
Yeah, that's good.
When I see things, if I see it and I know it has to be done, I assume responsibility because I know. Now, where that boundary breaks is identifying if it's my responsibility to share that or not, and then how to communicate that. So the communication and the responsibility.
Clearly defined responsibilities and roles.
Yes.
If they're not clear, that can bring confusion to a woman.
Yes. And
Fair enough. Point made.
yes.
Very good. Not clearly defined roles. Sure. Yes.
I guess some women, because women actually multitask, you do like 10 million things
Okay.
at a time.
Multitasking. Yeah.
Yeah, so like it's and usually guys are one thing at a time.
Correct. Yeah.
And so
In general,
some
yes.
women can try to take over a situation, like, because I can get more done faster, let me just do it. You know, so some women
Correct.
think that way over a guy that just takes
Understandable,
time,
right?
You know?
Right. What are you taking so long to do this for? I can get it all done. Yeah, right. The kitchen's on fire and this is over here, but we're stuck on one thing. That can be very, very frustrating. But do you see how they could complement each other?
Yeah.
Right. When he's tunnel vision, she can see the things that he can't see, and she can use that against him or for helping. Yes.
This is more general. I think a lot of women have gotten hurt in the past before
Yes.
they were even Christians.
Yes.
And so then you get saved, and obviously God's working on you, but you bring all that into your salvation, just like a guy and everything that you're dealing with. So a woman's protecting themselves because of everything from her past.
Correct. That's a great point. So think about this. Man comes into church immature, doesn't know how to lead. She marries a woman that's been hurt by a man in the past. That's a recipe for disaster, for a lot of fights and a lot of conflict, right? So if you're a woman here and you've been hurt by male authority in the past, I don't blame you for having a hard time receiving this message. It's understandable. It's very understandable. I'm going to go on record, I hope to make that right. I mean, I am living my life to make men that are responsible, that are going to cover their wife, that are going to love them and take care of them and show up on time and be responsible with money and be responsible and not a pig, right? Have things clean and organized and right. I am doing my part to help women in the whole entire world. I'm on a mission. Okay. Another reason why. There are some other reasons I did preach a while ago. Why? But maybe if you could remember, or you have your own.
So as not women that have not been in the Bible, that are not saved, that didn't know this exact context there. God made women smarter than men. So we are going to be taking charge until a man will put us to stop, like a German shepherd. We're going to go until you hold me down.
Okay.
And if that man is not doing that, we're just going to keep going.
Okay. So that goes back. You're right. That goes back to the vicious cycle. He's like, and if you're not going to do it, I'm going to get it done.
Until you realize this.
Correct. Until you realize that, okay, well, my role is different. She's talked about clearly defining the roles. Maybe, women haven't had clearly defined roles for many, many years or even generations in your family. And all of a sudden you come to church and pastor starts talking about the role of male leadership in the church. It's like, pump the brakes. Whoa. I'm not used to this, right?
I also was going to say that I never had a problem in the church setting ever.
Okay.
It was always in the home setting that I got challenged. So, but in the church setting, like you said, I never once thought about it, never
Right.
even cared, never. I was extremely content. I always felt like I could give what I had. I
Good.
don't know. I just
Always
never know.
content. But she's forgetting the first few years of our marriage.
No, I'm talking about marriage. I'm saying
Yeah.
church versus marriage.
I know.
Yeah.
Right. Always content. But I had to learn to assume that role to make her content. Now, I'm going to get to Cleve in a second, but I want to tell you a story that is highly controversial. Highly sensitive. Okay? And I'm going to read it to you. Okay? Then I'm going to let the shock factor go, and then I'm going to explain something to you. Let a woman learn in silence with all submission. And I do not permit a woman to teach or have authority over a man, but to be in silence. And this fits absolutely perfect with what my wife just said. And I want to give you the example where I lived this, and I finally understood it. And it wasn't until my second church. This is in Mendoza, Argentina, and her name was Mariana. Mariana was married. A guy. He's still in the church, so whatever. But she would challenge him and me on everything. After church, come up. Well, why do we do it like that? What are we doing? Why are you? What? And I'm looking to her husband, like, and he's over there. He's like, every service, it felt like that. She was always vocal, always challenging. Sunday school, just challenge, publicly, challenging. Remember in the story in the Bible where Paul is just walking around the city preaching, and there's this woman behind him? Yeah, servants of the Lord Most High. And it says, Paul, greatly annoyed, turned to the woman and rebuked the demon that was inside her. Well, I had a similar experience where I said, that's it, I'm done. Now, you understand, as pastors are humans, and sometimes we have emotions that take over. I said, Mariana, get you and your husband into the nursery, which is the office, which is the meeting room. Right now, we have to talk. I pulled her in, and she's there, and her husband's there, and it says, I finally understand the meaning of 1 Timothy 2:11 and 12 because of you. You have taught me what that scripture means. And she's just looking. I said, it's perfectly clear. I understand now. Thank you. It doesn't mean that a woman can't talk in church. That's not what that means. What it was is, I do not permit a woman to challenge male authority in a public setting. No, you're not going to do that. You're not going to have authority over men. You're going to teach men. You're not going to challenge men. You're going to be in submission to who? Your husband. So let's say a woman in church has a problem with church leadership, anybody, anything, right? She goes to her husband and say, listen, I'm mad, I'm angry, right? Because you're going to have emotions. You're going to have it. That's normal. It's not, woman, be quiet, shut up, just serve God. That's chauvinism. That's stupid. That's not leadership. And I hope I'm making that clear on the record. I feel like I'm on trial right now because of how sensitive this subject is. But the point is, you have a husband to help you and correct you and teach you about doctrine, about the roles in hierarchy. You don't challenge the church leadership publicly, especially. So that's what that means. And I realized, man, she just kept just pushing and pushing and pushing. And she comes from a horrible background from her father, her mother. Her mother came to visit one time, and I was praying against whatever it was. I don't even know what it was. She vomited up black tar on the altar. I mean, it was just, I'm telling you, that we're talking generations of the Jezebel spirit that's just always challenging the male. What was Jesus' biggest problem with the church in, I think it was Philadelphia? I could be wrong. I'm sorry. I didn't look it up. But he says, you've permitted that woman Jezebel to be loosed in your church, to seduce men, to manipulate men. He says, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You're not going to let that spirit dominate the men in the church. Okay? So we're digging wells. Khalif?
What was I talking about?
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, he's going to lose it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think I was going to say something about a lot of it is understanding, having a real good understanding. I know Paul said that older women should teach the younger women.
Yeah.
And even in cases where the husband isn't even saved, he ain't even saved, he ain't even in church. And he says that he can win them over,
Yes.
by your obedience to the Lord and your submission and
Yeah.
just following the word. So I think I think we're all guilty of, we can always justify, right? I don't do this because she doesn't do that. If she's not gonna do that, if he doesn't do this, I'm not gonna do
Yeah.
it. And I think that even that goes all the way back to, the garden, right? I mean,
Sure.
we think it's about apples, but it's really about my will. I get to decide my will.
Yeah.
That's the heart of the matter, I think.
Okay, so for a woman, she's got to assume her role, and as hard as that is, it's like riding in the passenger seat without telling him turn left. We have 2 GPSs in our generation now. One's not good enough. Yes.
So I was a single mom raising a boy, and I didn't have a bad experience in a relationship. The reason the relationship didn't last is because he was passive, and I was better off to just make decisions on my own rather than be frustrated all the time. So I made that choice. But raising my son, as soon as he started developing choices or I had to have him make decisions. So at 6 years old, he's looking at the stove. It's like, oh, you want to learn how to use that, rather than a weapon to always be yelling at him.
Right.
So it's teaching him to make decisions, and then calling. Well, I was also the only disciplinary person, right? So I had to discipline him but also give him room to be a boy, a man, make decisions, and be okay with making mistakes, be okay with hurting yourself. It's gonna be okay.
So
I didn't have that feminine role model or that marriage or that.
here's the challenge that I see, because I can speak of this because I was raised by a single mom.
Yeah.
A mom isn't the best dad.
No.
Right. And so that is a challenge, and one of the benefits that we have with church, that single moms can bring their children into a male-run church. Joseph, then Roman, then Tita.
I've seen this play out in my parents' church. When I was growing up, male leadership and everything, and go back now, and it's, women ran song service. Even the pastor's wife leads Sunday school and teaches him in Sunday school.
Hmm.
And it's a very, very passive,
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
And I've seen it shift over the years, and it's wild.
Yeah, personal experience. You've seen it transition. Yes, Roman?
So just a few things. So for me, I've had like 3 women supervisors, and I think only one was okay. The other one's just chaos, and what I saw most of it when they were trying to lead, they were overcompensating. So what that means is they're too harsh on the men, where if a man's in the role, they're not. They have an understanding, and they know how to work it out. So there's a communication barrier. Just from my experience. And anytime I had a male leadership,
Okay, so let's clarify. That's your experience.
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
go ahead.
Yep. So when I had male leadership, I'd be on time. I look forward to coming to work. When I had female leadership, it was I hated life. I didn't want to go to work. I could be late. I would drag my feet, and that's the impact. Now the other thing about leadership, learning how to be a leader, I've noticed. In the beginning, I was a tech. I had my hands in everything. I knew how to do everything, and be an SME and everything. But then when you become a leader, you have to back off, and that's where it comes down, because now you have something that's called fortitude. You can look forward to see things are coming while the folks that are under your leadership are doing all the work. They can multitask and do things, but you need somebody who's focused and seeing oh, this is coming later on.
Okay, 2 things, and I'll come back to you. But is that, Gordon, what he's saying? Did you want to add something to that? Go ahead.
I was just curious about something.
Yes.
Right? So, you know how there's a scripture that says that, God appoints our leaders.
Yes.
Right? And there's, whether
Yes.
they're good, bad, ugly,
Yeah.
smart, tall, you know, or
Yeah.
we're to submit to them and to, but that, I know that doesn't apply to the church.
Yeah,
That's
right.
talking politically, like outside.
Correct,
our-
yes.
Like, does that carry over?
Okay,
or
no.
does it-
God appointed that authority. You have to respect that authority. You have to be under that authority. But you also have the right to leave that job. Right? So, yes, no way show disrespect. Let me add to my Coca-Cola story as a true confession. I'm a pastor. Okay? Remember, I'm a pastor. I have this female boss for the first time in my life. And she could sense me. She could feel my vibe in these meetings. She called me in, and I almost got written up. And she sat down, and she goes, basically, she's saying, what's wrong with you? Are you on the team? Are you, why do you have a condescending attitude? And I'm a pastor, and I have to preach that night on a Wednesday. And I'm like, do I tell her? But really, it was a combination of things. It wasn't just because I had a female supervisor. It's because I was so focused on pioneering. My job was a means to an end. They are into it. In the corporate world, sales are everything. They stay up late at night. She was there till midnight at night doing reports and things. So my condescending attitude wasn't just about a female boss. It was that this isn't my world. This is not my world. This is a means to an end. And as soon as the church goes full time, I'm out. Okay. Now, Roman mentioned something that I need to bring up. Okay. What would be the role of a woman in church? This is very important that we bring this up. She can do anything in the church except lead men and have authority over men. So that's very clear. That's very broad. That's a very wide array of jobs. You can do anything, right? Women can't do anything at the Potter's house. That's not true. Women are part of the skeletal structure of our church, taking care of all kinds of things that are really critical, mission critical, right? So that's not it. It's just you're not going to teach and have authority over a man. You're not going to be in a leadership position in a man in the Potter's house, okay? So to make that clear. Khalif, and then we'll come back.
What was happening that Paul would write this to Timothy? Like, there were some things going on.
Maybe, yeah.
There absolutely
Right.
was. Like, that led him to say this to Timothy in his letter. I wonder what those circumstances were.
Yeah, it would be a very intriguing question to know, or to find out that answer. I think, though, the more that I realize human nature is human nature in the past, present, and will be in the future, in different countries, human nature is human nature. And I think a man is a man, and a woman is a woman, and she's frustrated with men. Okay? Yes.
It's more like a question.
Yeah.
Probably what Roman was saying. What do you say to the women that are in that situation, in that hole, to where the hubby does not have that backbone?
You're right.
And he's dragging you down into the disaster in life.
Right. Very, very, very deep question. Very good question. Happens all the time. Khalif mentioned a verse, it's in Philippians, that she can win her husband over without a word by seeing the chaste conduct and the quiet, gentle spirit of a godly woman. That is actually what wins the man. That's so counterintuitive. It's so against a woman's nature to think, I'm going to be submissive and that's going to win him over. Yes. Okay. Are there going to be abusive men until this earth ends? Yes. Are there going to be stupid men? Are there going to be men that sin? Yes. In fact, most of the violence in this earth against women and children have been men. Okay? All right? So, you got to understand this. You got to trust God. Right? If a woman is being abused, okay, whether it's mentally or physically or spiritually, she can distance herself. No problem. I would support that. I would never want a woman to stay in a home with an abusive man. Never. Okay? How her approach to win him is very nuanced and very different, okay? Depending on the situation and the circumstance. Okay? Yes, single mom.
A couple thoughts come to mind. So the first one is, I have a little bit of a dominant personality.
No.
And I've been in management positions and where, you know, it's
Yeah.
just, I'm in that role. And it's funny because I see the dynamic when I've had to address women in my department. I've had the tears and the emotion is a lot. And when I address with men, it's just logic, facts, emotion out of it, which was completely fine, you know, and I could see the response, and that was just something I learned. But I also, me as a woman, holding all the burden of so much leadership, I can understand it in so many ways. The way God created us, it's like it's a protection for us as well.
Yeah.
Because I had so much internally, I had to deal with so many pressures, so many different things.
Right, much like what Sylvie said.
A man and a leader in that role, when I see other peers that were leaders as well in their departments that were men, it's like they can deal with everything and be done with it, go to sleep at night.
Yeah.
My work was like, I carried it all the time, and it was just, there was always so much on my mind because of just the way my mind and I work, my mind. So it was, I think, a godly wisdom in that protection of that role of, you know.
Special grace, sure.
You know, we can hold it when we need to, but it's not the most peaceful. It's just a lot. It's a lot to always have that position.
How many women, and you could testify this, would love to have the man come in and help carry the load?
Yeah, totally.
Right, yeah. Interesting. You've done a great job with Robert. He called me, I think it was 3 weeks ago, and said, "Hey, Pastor, I need to talk man to man." In the conversation, so I'm talking to him or whatever, but in the conversation, he mentioned you many times. There are certain conversations man to man has to happen, but you did a great job, and under all the, you know, whatever your circumstances were in the past, it's good. He's a man, and church has to play that role in the gap of broken homes, dysfunctional homes.
Yeah.
Okay?
The second
Yeah.
thought, recently, I don't know if you guys heard in the news, whatever, about like it was like the Southern Baptist Church, like the big, like what our fellowship is, it's in the Baptist realm.
Okay.
A huge fellowship. But anyway, they had a meeting and a council where they were officially making their policy that men are leaders in their churches.
Yeah, I heard that.
And it was there was such a rage and outpour
Yes.
of anger of
Yes.
people in the church, Christians. I'm like, you know, and instead of seeing that and as what it should be,
Yeah.
there was so much attack. And I'm thinking there's such an assault against
Male leadership.
leadership and Christian values and standards that God created. And people who are Christians really hated that. You know, they came against it so harshly. When it's just wrong, and I think it's just an assault.
So we have to dig that well. We have to maintain that well. We have to make sure that we protect it and keep it flowing. Because I think that once people taste of that well water of male leadership, they're like, wow, it's refreshing. It's refreshing. It's such an encouragement to come in and see men serving and cleaning up and taking care of things and disciplining their children, because the man is the chief disciplinarian. When they're very, very young, they have a short memory, so they have to discipline in the moment. But the older they get, the longer their memory goes. So at that certain age, when your dad comes home, you're in trouble, not you. The woman should be able to rest at home. She should just have to say, I'm calling your dad. That's it. She shouldn't have to raise her voice. She shouldn't have to blood pressure. Theoretically, if you're a good man, then the woman is very well rested. Okay? Yes.
And so, this is when when you're like 17, 18, so
Yeah.
I moved out of my home.
Yes.
Because my dad just stuff. So being out of my home, being that age.
Yes.
You sort of learn how to defend yourself, how to survive.
Yes. By yourself, yes.
And then all of a sudden I got remarried, and that was like a load off my back. But the one thing that I had struggled with, because I took on finances. So for me to let go of that and let him,
Yes.
because my first marriage, it was chaos. So for me to let go of that control, it was a peace.
Okay, good.
And as I reading the Bible and everything,
Yeah.
I do believe that is true. A lot of this
Okay.
change. Everything.
Good. And I'm not looking So you would have a feminist that would be listening to this and say, oh, you just found people that are just going to agree with you and they just want to be subservient little people, people that are can be trampled on. That's not it at all, actually. That's not it at all. If you read Proverbs 31 woman, that was a woman that was very capable, and she was a businesswoman. Children called her blessed, and her husband was considered blessed in the community. She wasn't just this lazy, subservient woman that was treated like trash. She had a lot of dignity. Yes?
Going back to
You have
what
the final
Bernice-
word.
Yeah, going back to what Bernice said, and I was also thinking about my unsafe family and how they support all of what's going on because of this generation we live. But if you really watch them and listen to them, they don't really believe that. They like how it was biblically, but they
Yes.
have to say that they agree with X, Y, and Z because
Great point.
they fit into this mold that we've now put into the world. And I just know they're not saved, never been saved, but they've changed. I've watched it through my 55 years and just.
Yeah. See, that's why if you sense any hesitation on my part is because, all right, I got to take on a tsunami, right? That this is a very culturally unacceptable thing. But I'm telling you, I'm convincing you, I want to look in the camera and say, if you would come to a church that saw what true, real male leadership was, you'd be content and happy and love our church. All right, we'll start church 10:30. God bless you.